And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, R. Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, last week, I had a question and I had a comment, and you went out and watched something this week with a Frank, and I said, haha, we're not making a lot of Franks these days. My deepest apologies to the good Frank. How are you today?
All is well here. I'm doing so well today, Brad. Frank, yeah, we'll get to Frank. Love that man. Saw some live pro wrestling. It was an absolute blast. Prior to that, the week at work, the week of school, solid all around. I have no complaints today, man. I'm so grateful to be with you, and I know we have another, don't sound like a broken record, but I know we have another loaded episode with pro wrestling, with more than wrestling. We got another great episode of GI, so I couldn't be happier to be here. How are you doing, my dude?
Doing really well. It was a great week back. Got to see the kids again. Had to look up a couple of names. Not gonna lie, there were a couple people I'm like, I don't know who this person is on my roster. Did I just forget they were there the entire semester? Oh no, they're new. More than that, I've had a lot of kids that switched out of classes or moved schools or whatever. So it's been like, wait a second, who's missing? There's fewer people here, and I don't know who's gone. When you get a class of 35, it's hard to remember which one is out when there's 34 kids still there. But one is gone. So it's always surreal. It's always a little bit weird, but it was great to see the kids. Had a really productive week, had a really good week, but really glad for the long weekend.
Yeah, amen. The MLK holiday always kind of sneaks up on me because we usually just get back from winter break, and then oh yeah, that's right, we have a Monday off, and it's not just hey, we have a Monday off, but I think it's important, particularly for us Arizona residents, the last state to honor, to recognize this day. I think it's critical that we remember why we have that day off, if we're fortunate enough to have that day off from school and work. So yeah, man, I'm so glad you had a productive week. I'm sure your kids are just overjoyed that they get to see you for 1 hour a day once again. And like I said, I'm just really excited to get your thoughts on all the latest in the world of wrestling.
Some more than 1 hour a day, Tyler. Some 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. Now
okay, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of time together. Then you add it up over a school year, and you saw each other more than family members sometimes.
Yeah. Now that the musical is ramping up, we had some stuff. We did read-throughs. I did not go to the read-throughs, but I went to the script and the here are the expectations, so I could meet the cast and talk to them and say, hey, this is what I expect from tech. Here's what I want you to know. Come build with us if you're not called. So I'm stoked to get into that. I'm stoked to keep going, and I'm stoked to get into this. Tyler, hit me with your first question.
Yeah, let's go. So Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens fought to a no contest on SmackDown from Green Bay, Wisconsin last week. The Bloodline interrupted, ultimately leading to Solo Sikoa putting KO through a table. And some fans are fantasy booking a scenario, Brad, in which Sami actually turns on the Bloodline instead of vice versa. Truthfully, I'm not entirely sold on that idea just yet. Which scenario would you prefer?
For Sami, I think the best thing would be to, well, I guess it depends on what they want from the Bloodline. They're heels right now. Do you want them to go full thermonuclear heel? If that's the case, then they got to beat down Sami. If Sami turns on the Bloodline, that's fine. But I don't know. They're the Bloodline almost becomes like a sympathetic heel faction. We gave you everything and you turned your back on us. We trusted you and all of that stuff. Sami, no matter what, is going to come out as like an uber baby face out of all of this. Just uber baby face. Probably in line for the title. I would prefer the Bloodline turn on Sami for a variety of reasons. The most of which to make it clear that we need to hate the Bloodline now. We should hate Roman. We no longer care that he's awesome. he's an asshole. He's the worst. He turned on Sami. We hate that man now. I want that. And I don't think we're going to get that if Sami turns. Now, in the short term, Sami turning on the Bloodline and teaming with KO, especially if that happens, I think is really good for Sami and really good for KO. And that might be a more compelling storyline. So I think that's what our friends at That's Freaking Wrestling podcast have said, is that's the one that they think that is going to happen and they prefer. I don't know that I prefer that one, but I do see that that's probably the more compelling storyline. I also want to see what kind of heat they could generate on the Bloodline by the Bloodline turning on Sami, because I don't know how fans are going to react to it if they turn. I think that could be really compelling as well. You go from like this sort of tweener faction that they're working heel, but we still love them, to we hate every one of them and we hope they get beaten every match from here on out. That could be really interesting, could be compelling, and I don't know which one I prefer. I prefer both. Tyler, how about you?
Yeah, either way, to your point, Brad, I think it's going to be money. The execution of this story over the last, 6 months at this point has been so masterful. You and I have mentioned so many times that it's the best storyline going in wrestling for all the reasons. Like you, though, I want the Bloodline to turn on him to cement that they are bad dudes. And I recognize we're living in a time where we don't have to have the clear who's a babyface, who's a heel dynamic. In my mind, though, it kind of feels like I'm missing something for the fan base that's yearning for Sami to get the one up on them. I feel like I'm missing something because I'm not as thirsty for that as some other people. I want to see the Bloodline just eviscerate Sami. Love Sami, right? But I want them to eviscerate him. And then this ultimately leads to Sami and KO joining forces at WrestleMania. They beat the Usos for the title. I think I've just been so committed to my own fantasy booking from October that I'm not yet ready to flip it where Sami actually gets the advantage on them. Because, like you said, they've welcomed Sami in. So if he turns on them, I don't think it would work as effectively for me as it would, they end up beating him down and KO comes to his rescue. I think I'm just so married to that idea that I'm not willing to hear any other option at this point.
Either way, they have us, right? They do. We want more. We want to watch. We want to see how this plays out. So I don't know what the hell that was, but whatever.
That was like a beginning of Gangrel's entrance music. If we could just cue the music to. Yeah. If we could just dim the lights on both of our videos here.
I don't know. I sounded like probably what Hawk and Animal sounded like after a promo.
Yeah, good.
Good comp. Very, very LOD growly in there. That was foul. I don't remember what I was going to say, so we're going to leave it at that. Other than I can't wait to see how it plays out. Embrace the mess. Tyler, we had a mess this week. We got
another mess to embrace. Yeah. Tell me about it.
We got to get into it. Vince McMahon is back. WWE is selling, but they're not, but they are, but maybe, but to whom? We don't know. It could be real. It's probably a work. Maybe it's not a work. We don't know. We discuss right now in It's a Work.
Yeah, Brad, where to begin on this, man? This past week, Twitter was set ablaze again. I believe it was Brian Alvarez initially who tweeted out, and then several other wrestling media folks on Twitter followed his lead when he tweeted out monster news incoming. So the IWC, the whole community saw this, and speculation just began to run rampant. This also happened this past week, Brad. Stephanie McMahon stepped down from her position. These weeks are just
probably one of the most important things that happened, right?
Absolutely. So Stephanie puts out that memo that she's stepping down. She includes the then, now, forever together. So that's a bit of a gut punch because all reports that we've read speak to how respected and admired she is backstage. Again, just a general rule. It's great to have diverse voices in your leadership. I think for any company, particularly for the wrestling business, having a woman in the leadership group. Like, it's pretty paramount, I would say, as a fan, and I like that. So Stephanie steps down, Alvarez tweets out, Monster News incoming, and then word ends up going to, okay, signs are pointing to WWE selling to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Which is problematic for a laundry list of reasons. And what was really surprising to me, Brad, and you were quicker on this discourse than I, so I first thank you for making sure I was hip to all the rumors that were happening. What was really fascinating to me as I reflect on it now is it seemed like Twitter really took this news and ran with it as if it was a done deal. When, as you've pointed out on previous episodes of GI, business doesn't quite work that fast. If you have $1 billion sale of a company, it seems like the process must have been unbelievably expedited to make this happen. So I saw all the tweets, I saw the community just expressing their frustration and disappointment, and my mindset was just, well, is this verified yet? Are we completely sure? I know Vince McMahon is at the helm now, but for optics, for the future and safety of your women on the roster, this I know the Saudi government may have the bag, but is this really going to be a fruitful endeavor for you if you are selling your soul to and your entire company to them?
Yeah.
So we have not heard anything yet from WWE. I even think correct me if I'm wrong before I pass it to you, Brad, the folks on Twitter with the blue check marks, now there are so many more blue check marks, which makes all of this even more nebulous on who you can trust. I think some of the folks, the Alvarezes and perhaps the Cassidy Haynes and those individuals haven't necessarily walked back their initial tweets, but have just said, hey, nothing is confirmed. This is what I heard, but I can't officially break this news. So it was a wild week on Twitter, man. I think the line between what is true and what is just speculation is even more muddy than it has been in previous years. Obviously, we've had elections that were pretty contested. We obviously we're working as a community to figure out the facts of COVID-19, and there was a lot of lying that was happening on these apps on what is real and what is not. So obviously wrestling is nowhere near as important as public health and election security, but it just made me think of these various sectors of everyday life where we go to social media and it's the water is just so muddy in terms of what can I believe, who can I trust, and I just none of us want to feel like we got. And I think on that night, it just kind of felt like we got in terms of that was a huge story. Everyone was talking about it. And then you fast forward to us recording now on Sunday, and I guess we've moved off to Saudi Arabia. Maybe it's not happening at all. Maybe a few weeks pass by, maybe a few months pass by, Brad, and that deal does actually happen. And then the Alvarezes, the Haynes were in fact some of the first people to get it. We just live in a fascinating time. Social media is wonderful. I really enjoy the Twitter app, not their owner, but I enjoy the app quite a bit. However, nights like what we experienced this past week with the reported Saudi news just make me think of the importance of verifying information, trying to seek out reliable sources. It kind of brings me back to my journalism school days in many ways. So I'm going to pause here because I spoke my piece, and I want to know your thoughts on the very memorable week we had on Twitter.
Well, I initially was like, it can't be true. It can't be true. But these people have reported correct and factual information before. And we talked about, privately, we talked about phrasing, where the phrasing was pretty safe. It was according to sources, or I'm being told, or things like that. So it's not for sure this is happening. But then there were podcasters that were also journalists jumping on with headlines like WWE sells to Saudi Arabia. Okay, now we're being misleading. And now people are going to see that and just assume that it's true. So there's all these things that have to happen. You have to, essentially, if you're going to sell a $1 billion corporation, especially one that's publicly funded, and I want to say that you have that uptick on a sale So you sell it at a premium. But I think Vince McMahon was worth around $4 or $5 billion. And if that's true, the company itself is probably worth 6 or 7 or higher. My guess is they're going to sell for 10 or 11 billion if they sell. That's my guess, because you have all of those streaming rights and all of that content for 40 years, 50 years plus. And you have to remember there's AWA and WCW and NWA content that's owned by the WWE. It's just they're an absolute content monster, and anybody could buy them. As far as the Saudi Arabian government stuff goes, the reason that I thought this might be more believable, because the alternative is more obvious, and I think that's the one that we skipped over right away. Vince came back, Stephanie stepped down. I can't think of a more clear reason Stephanie stepped down, but when the Saudi news started breaking, my first thought was Stephanie stepped down, and then we heard the Saudi news, which makes me feel like she stepped down because of the Saudi news, because they're not going to let a woman run that particular corporation. I just don't see it happening, especially if it ends up being privately Saudi owned. Because if they buy it, they can take it private. They don't have to keep it public. Vince could actually buy out, I suppose, if he wanted to, and just take it private. I don't know if he could, and then sell it privately, but I don't see that possibly happening. Here's why I'm looking at this the way that we've had conversations in the past about artists. We have to separate the art from the artist sometimes. Here's a few things. Saudi Arabia, that wealth fund, they own shares in August. They invested about $7 billion, according to this Bloomberg report, to Amazon, Alphabet Inc., BlackRock Inc., and JP Morgan. And they own stock in, I already said Amazon, Google, Visa, Microsoft, Disney, Nintendo, Uber, PayPal, Zoom, and a ton of others. If we start going, I'm not going to support this thing because of the Saudi Arabian owned thing, and not to the other things, we become hypocritical and we're hyper focusing on something that's problematic, when if we disagree with them being problematic, it's kind of everywhere. I know full well that this cup that I'm drinking out of that we got that changes color, very nice, is my water cup, which I haven't touched yet, just Coffee Jones right now, probably made in China. And there's some atrocities happening there every day, and I don't agree with their business practice, or I don't really think about their politics too much, but that it's so different than what we are a part of, that culturally speaking, it's hard to wrap my brain around what they do over there and see it as right. Yet it's in my house. I haven't gone, I'm going to go buy USA. I'm not going to go buy a Pittsburgh steel cup. Like I'm not doing it. So I have a hard time with it. I guess my fear is, or my thought was, they're going to sell to Saudi Arabia because they have the coin. They have FU money to go. If the goal is make money, which I know that's the goal. I know that's a Vincent Kennedy McMahon goal, is got to make money. I don't know that the sale of his company would quite fit neatly and snugly with, I want to make money, with all of the pro-America bullshit that he's done over the years, problematically, I might add, and to different effect. And who knows, he turned Sergeant Slaughter heel by working with the Iraqis in storyline. So who knows? So I don't know where this is going to go. I think the Saudi Arabia sale would be bad for the look of WWE and the long-term optics for WWE. How many people watch it and cheer on the do the USA chants and stuff, and they're just into it because it's such an American idea and an American product. I mean, pro wrestling is as American South as it gets, and I don't know that the sale to Saudi Arabia would sit well with a lot of people. And I don't know what it would mean for the product, because they'll always have a financial backing. But do they meddle with it? Do they change it? What happens? I guess it's irrelevant because it's one of the many possible solutions. I still think Comcast is going to buy it. Disney might. I know that Nick Khan went to one of the games this weekend and sat with I believe it was Iger. And Iger's back running Disney again. So who knows? We might have a potential partnership happening there just after the game. I love this stuff. It's like political drama, behind the scenes stuff. I absolutely love it. Here's what I hope, Tyler. Number one, media literacy picks up in America and people learn how to read. Number two, journalists pump the brakes so that I'm not up until 12:30 constantly refreshing my feed. Number three, number three.
It's a true story. You were up that late. I have the text to prove it.
Oh, I'm still tired.
It was a big deal if true, but it doesn't seem true.
No, and number three, finally, my final thoughts here are whoever buys it, please fix the platform. Give us the network back. Get that shit off Peacock. I'm tired of having to play hide and seek every single time I want to watch like the 98 Rumble. It's absurd. I want to be able to skip matches again. I want to go to the certain match that I want to watch, and I don't want to have to use a VPN. I'm paying for this service, damn it. Thank you very much.
And that was our promo of the week. I think I'm ready for your WWE question, Brad.
All right, am I? Let me take a sip of this.
No, yeah, man, I appreciate your thoughts. Obviously, we could have a whole episode, I'm sure, dedicated to all the tentacles around this story.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, media literacy and I think for these journalists, I know some don't identify as journalists, right? But for these media personalities, a lot of what I've seen is that they don't necessarily identify as journalists, but I think the principles and the ethics of journalism are really embedded in the work we're doing. And it doesn't feel good when it just seems like it's clickbait city out here. So anyway, man, I appreciate you, and I'm sure this won't be the last time we talk about these issues.
No, because these things are involving lots of Mone. First question. Bray Wyatt's feud with LA Knight has been met with some very mixed reactions. I've had brief arguments at school with a particular student who's a big Wyatt fan that loves the song, loves this version of Bray Wyatt, loved the Fiend, but loves this version of Bray Wyatt, is totally into the Uncle Howdy stuff and can't wait to see more. I am not feeling that way. So Uncle Howdy has been on both shows. He's worked both Bray and Alexa, but in a very confusing way that doesn't seem to have a lot of consistency or fidelity or connection at all. The latest QR code teased the Fiend, but Bray Wyatt's promo also used Run to finish it. So we're getting teases of two former gimmicks here. Okay. What's going on? What do you expect to come out of this? And is this for you, Tyler?
It's bringing me back in, honestly. I want to say that we differ a bit on here. I think you're still kind of cold on what's going on with Bray. Since Uncle Howdy, Sister Abigail'd him, a week and change ago, I'm a little more intrigued now. Who would have thought? It just took one Sister Abigail to get me back in. So I'm going to say TBD, but leaning toward yes, it's for me. But very, very the slipperiest of all slopes on that one. It could go south pretty quickly. I don't know what exactly we're being shown here. I honestly trust Bray's artistic mind. You and I are big fans of him and think he's a I know this word gets thrown around a lot, but a real genius when it comes to pro wrestling. So I have a lot of faith in him. I'm not sure what's going on. It's clear that Alexa is definitely going to play a role in this somehow. I don't know that I need Bray and Alexa to reform. To me, it seems like that's where this is pointing toward, is they're going to be a duo in some manner. I don't know that I need that necessarily, so that part isn't for me. But I obviously want Alexa to be in a prominent spot. I want Bray to be featured. He's a big deal. This Mountain Dew pitch black match at the Royal Rumble. So my first question, maybe this is rhetorical, is number one, is it going to be a cinematic match? Because if it is, I could see the Fiend appearing. I could see Swamp Bray. I could see all the faces of Bray making an appearance. And I definitely think Bray's gonna beat LA Knight at the pay-per-view. If it's not a cinematic match, I think it could end up being a little too goofy and just not work for a large portion of the audience. So to me, all of the money is on what is this pitch black match going to be. as a viewer from home, I would rather it be cinematic because I think it will be more effective that way. But if it goes south and people aren't invested in it, I think that's going to put Bray and Alexa in a really tough spot moving forward. LA Knight has shined throughout. To me, even in defeat, I think he's going to be in a great spot. But with Bray, it's such a consistent teeter-totter that he's very polarizing.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to become of this. I will predict Alexa and Bray are coming back together, and I'll just go ahead and say it. I think Pitch Black. I don't know if they've confirmed this or not. Please feel free to jump in, Brad. I'm going to say that's going to end up being a cinematic match or have heavy cinematic elements. And my hope is that it just works for the fan base because I want good things for Bray. But it's a teeter-totter, man. I don't begrudge you at all if you're still feeling a little cold on this.
I'm cold on the Alexa stuff. I just am. Like, I don't get what they're doing over there. What the hell is Uncle Howdy? Like, all those questions I know are supposed to be like mysterious, but they're not working right now. They're just kind of annoying plot holes. And I don't want to be annoyed by it. I want to know what's going on. There's mysterious, compelling, and then there's mysterious in terms of confusing. And right now I still feel confused. Am I invested? And do I trust Bray? Yeah, that's why I can't wait for this. I am going to be pissed if Mountain Dew is not used as a weapon in a Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. You cannot have it just simply be a sponsored match. Put that shit in the match. I want to see soda cans being swung around.
LA Knight could do something with that. Yeah.
Or just like crack one in the middle and go, yeah, and then drink it. I think that could be funny as heck.
Do you think it's going to be a live match for the audience in San Antonio at the Rumble?
I think I'm kind of hoping it'll be a hybrid. So this is what I can see. Like cinematic match, it takes place somewhere else. And if Fiend is coming back, that's why I can see it being a hybrid.
Yeah, I think we get the Fiend.
I think so too. I think maybe there's some sort of merger of Uncle Howdy and Bray Wyatt in the Pitch Black match because that really dark aspect of himself is there and it seems to be out of him. And maybe this is the time it goes back in. Otherwise, why take us through the funhouse all cobwebbed up at all? And then why is Uncle Howdy essentially in the funhouse? So there's all this stuff that's alluding to the Fiend coming back and has been since the beginning. So I think we get the Fiend back, but I could see a cinematic match ending or being all mysterious. And then we get a let him in, and then the Code Orange song plays and he comes out into the arena. Maybe dragging LA Knight or something.
Yeah, LA Knight's corpse.
Yeah.
Final follow-up question for you. I know I'm exceeding my limit here. Is the end game Uncle Howdy versus Bray Wyatt at SoFi, night 1 of WrestleMania?
Maybe, but if it is, it has to be Fiend Wyatt versus Uncle Howdy. You get the two supernatural elements going and put that in a cinematic match. And that'd be good for it. But we're pretty sure it's Bo, right? Bo was backstage.
Has to be.
Right? It's got to be. I think it would be cool if he unmasked him and realized it was his brother, rather than just a supernatural figure and he's just been playing into it psychologically and screwing with his brother. I think that could be a compelling storyline. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe who the hell knows? I don't know if they have a plan for Bray Wyatt for WrestleMania. Because they planned that stuff a year out. So,
right.
And I know things change. People get hurt, blah, blah, blah.
Of course.
He's going to be involved in some way, but I don't know if they'll have a match set up for him. I love the Bray Wyatt cinematic stuff. I would rather see Bray Wyatt do cinematic stuff.
Me too.
It's good story.
He's such a unique character, a unique wrestler. There is no other comparable wrestler in the business right now. You have to really treat him with the most delicate of hands, because we know when it's good, it's really good, and when it's not, it just sort of falls off a cliff. So he is one of those people where I am so fascinated to see his trajectory from now through April. Like you said, Brad, he's going to have a prominent WrestleMania match. He better, at least. We have 2 nights, damn it. And I don't know. I think I'm just scarred from some of the booking where the Mr. Rogers, the Fiend, was going so well. And then they pushed him too hard, too quickly up the card, and he was going for the belt. And then I think that did just huge damage to him and Seth Rollins, respectively, as characters. I don't want that repeated. I want to think positively about this. I'm not as out as I was a few weeks ago, but like you, I'm a little worried that it may not go well. But LA Knight's been crushing it. Bray is Bray. We love Alexa. The ingredients are all there for this to work out in the end.
I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go well. I think we're going to get a satisfying conclusion.
I think so.
I'm actually stoked for the match. I just feel like the build to it, in terms of pacing all of this out, was way too damn slow.
Yeah,
and that's it. And I think if it went a little faster, I think I'd be a little bit more invested. And I like the long storylines. I love them. Give them to me. Like, have it be a year if it makes sense. The Sami and the Bloodline story, like you said, has been going on for half a year at least. And it's been compelling television every week, both shows usually. So I'm really excited to see what the fallout is for Sami this week. And with Roman, and Roman wasn't even there. So we can have long-term storytelling and we can have all of that and also have it not be too one note. There was a full month there where I feel like Bray came out and said, "Thank you, I'm glad I'm back." And nothing really happened. And then it became LA Knight coming out and interrupting, or Bray having a conversation with him. And it's like, that's fine, but nothing really happened. We still don't know what the Uncle Howdy character is. We don't really know what Bray's character is at all still. Bray's character seems confused. That's kind of it. But I'm here for it. People were dogging him for his promo being nonsensical in the ring. And I was like, I understood it perfectly fine. He always speaks in metaphor. Just, I don't know, use your brains and think. It kind of makes me crazy when it's
critical thinking strategiries. It's on the rubric.
It absolutely you got me there.
It's on the rubric.
It makes me crazy when people are like, they're so insulting to our intelligence and they do all this. And then you have somebody that comes on there with like a higher level of intellect and a vocab bank in his head, a lexile skill that's above 8th grade. And suddenly this is boring. This is stupid. Cause like, I'm sorry it required you to think and connect things. And I don't know. I love it when he does that stuff. I'm here for that. I'm the audience for that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me. But I understand why some people don't like it, but don't shit on it because you don't understand it.
Yeah. There's an ongoing conversation in the community about wrestling being subjective. Like ultimately, I know the guys from Grapsity on Fightful were discussing this. Ultimately, like what you like, and if you like something I don't, that's okay. It's a subjective form of entertainment. It's okay to like something or not like something, and we can agree that we love this business, and that's all we need. But yeah.
And I realized the irony in my statement there, because I don't understand the Uncle Howdy stuff at all. But it's not because it's not for me. It's because they haven't made sense yet. That's
right.
That's not me not getting it. That's them not telling me anything.
Exactly.
There's a difference there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of shows, we are about to debut a new segment. We are always trying to come up with innovative ideas for the pod. We want you to feel as excited as we are every single week. I don't know that we have an official name, Brad. On our run sheet, this segment is called Live Experience Jones. I would imagine that's going to change in some time, but this is going to be a new segment where we reflect on our experience attending a live wrestling show. And in this case, specifically an independent show. So I am ready, Brad. Please go ahead and cue our new music. Let's do it. So this past weekend, I attended the Red Carpet Rumble in Mesa, Arizona. Do you remember when I sent you the info on this, Brad, a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I was jealous I wasn't going to be able to make it. The card was stacked.
I know. Let me clarify, especially for our non-Arizona fans out there. I live in Glendale, so I am West Valley through and through. Grew up here. Mesa is on the other side I'm going to be dramatic, is on the other side of the state. It's like an hour drive with traffic. So this was a real commitment to make this happen. You already know this, Brad. The reason, or kind of the background on how I heard about this event, was one of my former students' fathers sent it to me. So this is a student from Cactus High School, just a phenomenal kid who I had in class, just brilliant on all levels and super kind. And I ended up connecting with her family, and I learned that her family really enjoys wrestling, particularly her father. So I had my Braun Strowman cut out in my classroom, but this student she never mentioned her background with wrestling at all until like the very, very end of the semester. So when I found this out, I was stoked. And I think I may have sent a friend request to her dad after meeting him at one of her basketball games. So we just formed this connection and, message each other about wrestling every so often. He sent me information on Red Carpet Rumble. It was presented by the United Wrestling Network, and more specifically, Championship Wrestling of Arizona. So heard about this, we decided we're gonna go. We ended up going to the show together, obviously, right? Carpool City. And you may have already seen some of the highlights from the event if you follow us on Twitter, which you should do at GI.
They are at CWFAZ on Twitter.
Thank you. Great shout. CWFAZ on Twitter. Championship Wrestling from Arizona. It's an acronym. It makes sense. And you may have seen our highlights at GIPod19. We were live tweeting from the event. We will always try to do that to the best of our abilities when we attend. First and foremost, Brad, I think the Denise Salcedos and others are so skilled at live tweeting from these shows. It was so difficult to try to watch the event and enjoy it, and meanwhile use my Twitter fingers to broadcast from it and not include typos, spell the names of wrestlers correctly. I was proud of myself for doing that. As I checked my phone, we actually got a response from CWFAZ. I don't know if you saw this. They just responded.
It's why I've been looking down. My watch has been going crazy.
How great is that? They said thank you
great.
for joining and tweeting, and they followed the GI account.
Yeah, I got to follow back as well. Yeah.
I think this podcast is now sponsored by Championship Wrestling. This could be the start of a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until they see this and see us marking out here.
Yeah, exactly. We're not non-biased. Yeah, man. So that's the background on it. Going to the event, we arrived around 4:40. The event was going to start at 6:30, but doors would open at 5 o'clock for a meet and greet. So here are my official takeaways, because I don't want to go 30 minutes on this. My takeaways for this: first and foremost, wrestlers are our size. At the event, at the meet and greet, I saw the United Wrestling Network current heavyweight champion, Danny Limelight. I saw Ortiz, one half of Proud and Powerful, Pretty Peter Avalon, so on and so forth. And Brad, what would you say you and I are, respectively? We like to say 5'7", comfortably, right?
I could tell you that I was 5'8", and that I am now 5'7", as my spine has curved. So, yeah.
But 5'7", comfortably.
Yeah.
These guys who are very successful in their own right, extremely talented, are just, I'm seeing them eye to eye. I was with Frank in line as we were waiting for the doors to open, and Ortiz walked by. He had a hat, a sweater, and jeans, and I clearly noticed him. And I said, Frank, you know, it was Ortiz that walked by, right? And he popped for it. He said, no, I had no idea. So to just see a wrestler in regular people clothes just walk by us to go to the parking lot was a brand new experience for me. And the fact that our measurables are somewhat similar was absolutely eye-opening. At the meet and greet, we also saw Hammerstone, the current MLW champion, who is not our size. That man is a very large dude. I think his chest, upper torso area probably weighs a lot. Cole Cabana was there as well. He was selling his Karate Kid style headbands. I saw some people were getting those and he was signing them. So Cole Cabana was just 10 feet from me, which was just absolutely surreal, not to sound like the total mark. So it was cool to see some of these wrestlers kind of in a behind the scenes way, some of which I was familiar with, a lot of which I weren't, and really looking at the hustle that goes into packing your suitcase, bringing your 8x10s, bringing your tees and your hats. That was very eye-opening. Eventually the event begins, and it was just an absolute blast, man. We had several great matches on the card. There's a whole community as passionate as we are. That was a takeaway for me, is that the crowd was pretty electric all night. People of all backgrounds were there. Again, you can follow the main highlights in the actual card at GIPod19 on Twitter. In terms of who was most over, I shortened my list to 3. Hammerstone, MLW champion and Arizona native, was hugely over. He ended up beating Ortiz, actually. It was a babyface versus babyface match. They shook hands after, and he just has a huge fan base here. I don't know if you saw this, Brad. Willie Mack was also on the show. Amazing. Willie Mack is over like Rover. This dude was hugely popular. You and I have seen quite a bit of his work over the years. He is just as amazing in person. The things he can do at his size are just so cool. He did a nip up, and I was like, my God, like, Willie Mack is him. He was awesome, and the fans really enjoyed him. And he's obviously a pretty big staple on these Arizona shows. Finally, my list of most over, the Mad King, Eddie Kingston, Road Warrior pop. It was deafening when he came out for the main event against Danny Limelight. Thunderous reactions, instant Eddie chants. No one saw him earlier in the day, so this was the first time we laid our eyes on him, and he was fully Eddie Kingston. When he was entering the ring, he like kicked the camera or just kicked air just because, in very Jon Moxley-esque fashion. So Eddie Kingston was there in his full glory, and interestingly enough, him and Danny Limelight had an awesome match. They were interrupted though by Jordan Clearwater and whoever Clearwater's partner is. I think it's Cash something. Again, a lot of these dudes were new to me, so they ended up interrupting the match. So it was a no contest, which makes sense because you bring in Eddie Kingston for your local show. He's probably not eating the pin, but neither is your world champ.
Right.
Yep. So those two dudes interrupted. That was the scheduled main event, but then actually the 30-man red carpet rumble, the namesake of the show, actually closed the event, in which Clearwater and Cash were the last two heels, and Cash ended up beating him. So it was interesting, Brad. It was an over-the-top rules until the last two dudes were left, and then at that point it becomes a one-on-one match.
Oh, cool.
So Cash submitted Clearwater. Clearwater was a nuclear heel for the crowd. And I guess we went home happy because Clearwater ended up tapping. My final takeaway, though, this was such a fun event, man. Shout out to Frank. He's such a great dude, such an awesome father, and I just had a blast at the show. But my major takeaway is that, for better or worse, there were no real promos on this show from wrestlers. We saw Dave Marquez, behind the scenes Jones, who spoke and thanked us for being there. Absolute babyface, by the way. He showed us love on Twitter as well. There were "Thank you, David," clap, 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 clap.
Yeah,
chants.
I saw that. Yeah.
The whole crew that was there was really great, man. Super diverse. David Marquez, a few other gentlemen of color that were announcing and commentating. Talent-wise, a lot of diversity. I wish we got more than just 2 women on the card. Danielle Camella, formerly known as Vanessa Bourne in NXT, faced Zeta Zhang. Zeta Zhang ended up beating her, but that was the only sign of women, aside from one referee who's a woman. So moving forward, we should get more shine for women on there. But that being said, super fun event. My last takeaway, though, is something I feel passionately about. No promos, like I said. And I think this actually worked in their favor, Brad, because I am so sick and tired on WWE and AEW television, and we saw it again this week, of the classic promo, "I'm coming for your title. Your mother's a whore. You don't have the balls to face me." What? Why are we still doing this? These people are way too talented to succumb to "your mother's a whore and you don't have the balls" lines. Yeah. It's 2023. We don't need it. So I really enjoyed, because I was worried. I was like, are we gonna get that at this show? Because that seems to be the trend for wrestling these days. I'm so glad we did it. The matches were amazing, and I can't wait to experience something like this with you in the future. It was a great show. Shout out to the whole team at Championship Wrestling. It was a really fun night and well attended. It was a packed house.
Yeah, it looked absolutely packed. Your pictures were there. You did a great job keeping us all up to date. It was fun. Go back and look through the feed. You can see some of the clips. It looked like a blast. I said it earlier. I was like, I'm totally jealous that I didn't get to go. And when I brought it up to the fam, because we were out for Jess's birthday dinner, we were at the Brazilian Steakhouse, which I will not attempt to remember the name of, over by the Tucson Mall, which was amazing. I showed Freya a picture of where you were, and she was jealous, and so was the rest of the family. They're like, it's just up the road. It's just in Mesa. Oh, cool. And they seemed interested in maybe going to a future event. So that made me
We
feel
love to see it.
hopeful. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of optimism.
yeah. I can't. I'm telling you, man. Like I'm ready to go see some more up there. I know we have a lot to discuss coming up here, so let's get into it, because I have a feeling I'm going to ask you about something we're going to see in the future. Ready for your question?
Yeah, man. Let's move over to All Elite Wrestling. Lots of All Elite Wrestling merch, by the way, at the show. Very little WWE, but lots of folks repping AEW gear. So pretty straightforward for you. Adam Cole returned to Dynamite this past Wednesday. We did get a surprise appearance from a highly touted wrestler. We did get it in the form of Adam Cole, baby. And I think he's a babyface for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
What did you think of his very, very personal promo? And who does he fight at March's Revolution pay-per-view?
AEW does this better than probably anybody else. I can't even think of a single Impact promo that I've seen in the last 3 years that is even remotely memorable in terms of being personal. There's been some good ones, but in terms of like really personal, deeply personal, AEW's already had several. You know, we have the Mox promo, we have this one, we've had Cody stuff, we've had all kinds of things on there. It's just I'm going through it. Thunder Rosa's emotional promo. Like, we have all these different things. So I loved this return. I love this so much. I love this speech so much. I want real. And if you could swerve me in the middle of that, even better. That was the best part, man. Like, he had us. And when he said it's a good news, bad news situation, I immediately was like, no, it's only good news. Can't wait for this. I knew it was coming, because they wouldn't put him out like that if he wasn't coming back. He looked jovial to come out to that music and have his hands up. He didn't look distraught. If he would have looked really upset, then I would have been like, all right, this is it for him. He's hanging it up. And then he would have had me a little bit more. But I thought this was perfect. I loved it. He looked up, found the camera. It's bad news for everybody in the locker room, because I'm back. I thought that ruled. I can't wait. I'm really hopeful. The other thing I'm hopeful for is that CM Punk has been interacting a little bit more on social media with AEW talent. So if this leads to an eventual Adam Cole CM Punk match, who CM Punk has said he really likes, I'm here for it, man. Here's all I care about. Adam Cole's healthy. Because the stuff he was talking about is all pretty classic post-concussion syndrome stuff. And that only happens with some pretty serious concussions. So I'm just glad he's okay, because some of that stuff doesn't go away. But I've heard the same thing from many people. You and I both know that teaching comes with some wonderful benefits, like meeting dads who want to go to pro wrestling shows with you, or having students that you're going to carpool up to AEW Dynamite in February, for example. Or just all these really cool things. But along with that comes with kids playing sports, impact sports, football, and to a lesser extent, when I was teaching up north, hockey, and even wrestling. Wrestling's a big one. I have had a lot of kids with concussions that have been wrestling. In particular, I had a student that was thrown from a bull because of where we live. He was riding a bull, got thrown from it, hit the back of his head so hard that now he needs glasses. And it's a whole thing. So brain injuries can happen really quickly. And along with that comes with mental and social emotional damages. So watching him talk about his process, I know how real that is. And nobody will ever know that quiet struggle, that private struggle. And it must have been just absolutely hell. So the fact that he's upright and feeling normal and ready to come back, I'm just so happy. The promo to me was secondary to that. It's all I could wrap my head around was just how much that dude's had to endure and that he's okay. And then he even brought that up. The well wishes and the get well soons and all of that stuff and how much it meant to him. So really excited that he's back, really excited that he's healthy. That's what I'm choosing to take away from the promo. What did you think?
Yeah, so well said. He mentioned that wrestling is a take and give business.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was his phrasing.
Yeah.
And he said, I wasn't giving you all anything. I've been out since Forbidden Door in the summer, and yet you've been flooding my timeline with thinking of you, Adam Cole. Even if Adam Cole, this seemed to really resonate with him. Even if Adam Cole never wrestles again, I just hope he's okay.
Yeah.
That was amazing, man. These, in my experience this past weekend, which I spoke about for a long time a few minutes ago, is just a reminder that these entertainers are real people, and injuries happen so often. It's easy to forget about that when we just get so invested in these shows and star ratings and fantasy booking and who we need back because we need to see them feud with this person.
Yeah.
Damn it. It's easy to forget that these are real people and these issues, man. Like he was speaking about having trouble sleeping and not being able to ride in a car for more than 10 to 15 minutes. I mean, that's just daily parts of life that we perhaps take for granted. I love the promo. Absolute shocked when the music came on. It's all about I was clapping.
Yeah.
I'm positive you were as well.
I yelled.
Yes. Visceral.
I was checked on.
Did you do the boom and
or
the
baby?
yes.
Okay,
kidding
very
me?
good. I Adam Cole baby. I boomed.
That's all I needed to know.
I was sad because Freya was out doing something else, so she couldn't come and do it with me. Yeah.
So it's so good. I'm so excited he's back. Let me ask you though, what's the match at Revolution? Who do you think he fights first on the big stage? Punk is far too soon.
Oh no.
That's maybe what all out full gear best case scenario.
I don't know because Ricky's doing his own thing right now. Otherwise, I would have said probably Ricky would have been a good one.
Yeah, face of the Revolution ladder match.
Yeah, maybe that makes the most sense. He's already done a whole bunch of stuff with Hangman, so I don't think it's going to be that. I doubt Mox will be back by then, and if he is, that'll be when he returns. Take that vacation time off, and then come back at a big moment. So I don't know if his feud with Hangman's done at that point. Danielson, we're going to get that Iron Man match. So I'm trying to think of who else would be left. I would love to see Adam Cole and maybe Hook, but that would be probably the end of Hook's run. I would think so. Adam Cole might put him over, but I don't think he should in that. Is there somebody on the roster right now that is feudless that you can see Adam Cole having a good feud with, not a quick feud with, because it's like, I can see Adam Cole and Jay Lethal having a really good match, but it seems like they're doing the Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt stuff right now. So I don't know that Adam Cole fits with that unless Kyle's ready to go. I can't possibly see Kyle ready to go yet.
Yeah. There's not a clear one for me. I think of the Gun Club, who are being used prominently as heels, but again, who would Adam Cole's partner be? Does that really work? I don't know that Adam Cole needs to be in a tag team right now. I think it's solo aspirations for him all the way. And there's the reforming with the Kingdom. The Kingdom have been presented as heels, so that's maybe not a seamless fit, but ultimately, to me, it seems like they have to reunite in the trios division in some way. All that being said, there's not a clear answer. Face of the Revolution ladder match could be a great spot for him. An eventual title match against MJF could be massive. Could you imagine those promos and the actual match? I mean, that's please take my money now. I don't have a great answer for this. I really need to think about this one.
Yeah.
There's no clear option. Again, I'm going to answer with the Gun Club, but I don't feel overly great about that pick because I would imagine the Gun Club may even get a shot at the Acclaimed for the belts on a big stage soon.
Do you know who I would love to see?
Miro.
Miro would be a good one, but that's not who I was
Miro is not going to take a loss. Yeah. Who do you want to see?
Takeshita.
Oh wow. Okay.
Adam Cole and Takeshita could put on one, but that he would be a really good one in Adam Cole, Takeshita, Miro. I don't know, somebody else, probably Wardlow, Powerhouse Pops, Hobbs again. Somebody else
Yeah.
that I'm not
Darby
thinking
is
of.
there, but
Darby and Adam Cole could be good. Darby and or Adam Cole and Jungle Boy already did their thing, right?
mhm,
So I
mhm.
don't see that being really feasible.
Yeah, and I
But
think
I
I
was
think
trying to
Hobbs is
think
coming
of,
for Darby.
and I was trying to think of what 8-man you could have with like maybe House of Black and
Oh,
with the Super
okay.
Elite. And you know what? Like they're we have all this speculation and rumor about Jay White's contract and WWE's interest.
Yeah.
WWE is interested in Jay White. There's no way in hell that AEW isn't. So I can absolutely see an AEW get Jay White. I don't know what Jay White wants. I don't know what he wants from his career because Jay White probably would be a lock in for WWE if Vince wasn't back. I think Vince coming back might be a way that's going to scare talent, I think. But Jay White getting the opportunity to live in the States, which seems like he wants, to work in a company he's already worked in with people he already knows, with a fan base that knows him, makes way more sense to go to AEW. Jay White and Adam Cole, because they had that weird moment at the end there when Jay White was there around Forbidden Door, where Cole was trying to get him to attack him and almost hit him with the belt or almost hit him or kicked him or whatever when they were doing that beatdown. Somebody returned then, and I don't remember. Oh, it was when Okada showed up
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that four
stopped.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal event.
Yeah, it was so good. But Adam Cole and Jay White almost got into it. So I would love to see that.
Okay, I'm here for it.
That
Sign
would
me
be
up.
that would be ideal. I don't know if it's going to happen, but Jay White going to the WWE doesn't make any sense to me. Jay White going to AEW makes much more sense, but that's only because I've seen Jay White's promos, and I don't know how you PG that.
Well said. I have nothing to add. It's going to be fascinating to see Cole's trajectory, where Jay White ends up. I think 2023 is already promising to be as massive as 22. We got the Rumble in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks as we record. It's bonkers already.
Everything is nuts, man. Like I don't know what's going on. I also didn't know what was happening this week. Tyler, you and I talked about this at length. We predicted you definitely super hoped and your hopes I believe were very high. But we got to talk about it, man. It's time for another edition of What Happened Here, Mercedes Moné edition. Play the music.
What happened here?
I mean, damn, where do we where do we even, we're approaching an hour. Where do we even begin? If you're listening, if you're watching, of course, thank you so much, first of all. And you already know what this is going to be about. We had the long-awaited, long-speculated women's tag match on Dynamite this past week. We haven't even talked about Dynamite at great length. Man, this was an awesome show in LA.
Incredible.
So many great matches.
It might have been the best Dynamite in a long time.
Like, how are we not even talked about Mox versus Hangman or Danielson versus Takeshita?
Oh, so good.
Or the main event, right?
That catch for that pile driver, good God. Unbelievable. And into the suplex?
Speechless. Right.
Nuts.
Unfortunately, one of the takeaways was the letdown, if you will, that we did see the women's tag match, and it was, in fact, the Pillar and the Killer, Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker versus Saraya and Toni Storm. This just was so wrong for me in several ways, Brad. I'm glad that we saw Hikaru Shida and we're getting those seeds planted for her heel turn. That's going to rule. I think this put Toni Storm in a really unfortunate spot. She is amazing. She was my choice for Women's Wrestler of the Year in AEW for 22. But I don't think I was alone. I don't think we were alone in thinking maybe Toni Storm gets laid out in the back. Maybe something fugazi, for lack of a better term, happens where Mercedes Moné ends up being Saraya's partner. And you so astutely pointed out on Twitter they told us Toni Storm was going to be the mystery partner. They gave us a week's advance notice, but I thought that was setting up a swerve. I thought for sure we were getting Mercedes. So awesome match, great talents everywhere here, all 5 women, and shout out to Reba too. But not getting Mercedes, you heard the boos on air, and I just felt really, really bad for Toni Storm. So I don't know what this means. I don't know if Mercedes just appears in a few weeks and we set up Jade versus Mercedes at Revolution for Jade's 50th. I'm not sure what is happening here, but I am just so sad and so uncertain of Mercedes even being in AEW at any point this year. I think it's very likely that the next time we see her in a ring is at February's Battle in the Valley in San Jose from New Japan. After that, maybe she just stays with New Japan and does some other projects. Maybe we don't get her in AEW, which makes me feel sad and just total egg on my face, because I worked myself into thinking this was a definitive outcome.
Yeah, I'm trying to find right now about about the length of time for Mercedes Moné's contract. And I see an Alvarez quote here. Let's see. She's only contracted for a couple of Japan matches. If she's going to AEW, she's got to sign for 3 years minimum, because why bother if she's going back to the WWE? So she's I guess on a per appearance deal for Stardom right now. And I don't know, man. Like this is the only place that my initial thought when she debuted, and she said specifically she's doing Stardom, but then she said she's doing a world tour. I had hopes that maybe part of that world tour includes Forbidden Door. She's not going to come back for SummerSlam if she goes back to the WWE. It's way too freaking close. There's absolutely no chance that happens. SummerSlam is just around the corner, right? Like we got 2 months and we're there, basically.
Seems that way.
Yeah. And unless something goes terribly wrong and the Stardom run sucks, maybe she goes back. I don't know. I really doubt that that's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to what she does. I'll follow her wherever her career takes her, because she's such a great talent. That being said, I thought she was going to show up 3 weeks ago when we were talking about the January 11th, and we were like, oh, it's got to be this, got to be this. Up until Dynamite, I was like, there's no way she's showing up. The way she spoke about it, the per deal thing, I just don't see her showing up. There's probably even an agreement with New Japan, or she just knows, well, if I'm going to go back to the WWE, I better not show up at AEW. I know she's friends with people that are there. I know I believe she and Britt are friends, but I can't remember if not.
Britt dropped the boss word and winked at us.
Okay, so again, I'm going to say this.
I thought that was the giveaway.
I thought it was the giveaway that she's not coming. Everybody, I think, just misread it. We don't need a boss. We already have one. That's what she was saying. Like she was hinting at all the rumor and innuendo about Mercedes Moné coming, and instead she's like, I'm the boss around here. In other words, no other boss is coming. I'm the one. They announced Tony. Get over it. This is what you're getting. And we got, and the thing that got me is that everybody's cheesed off that a former champion in freaking Toni Storm was the tag partner. Like you said, I feel so bad for Toni because she rules. And people are mad we got Toni. It's like, damn.
Don't you think though that they announced this match with a month advance notice? Totally. Mystery partner. They had to have thought like something clearly must have happened here. I don't see any logical reason why you would present it a month in advance with a mystery partner element if you didn't think this was going to be Mercedes Moné's debut.
It could, or a return. Like Sean Ross Sapp, I have a feeling will eventually have the story behind what the hell happened here. Because who's going to be my partner for that long? At that moment, it should have been the Shida Tony story starting, so we could see the seeds of dissension there, or the seeds of doubt, so that we have weeks to build up to that. Instead, we get it like the week before, which is plenty of time to process it, but now the story feels rushed and kind of not very fluid. And all I want is a surprise now. I don't know if I'm getting Mercedes, but a surprise. Thunder Rosa coming back would have made sense. Statlander's probably still got a ton of time on the shelf, but that would have been great. Layla Hirsch would have been cool. A returning Riho would have been a fun surprise because we only dust off Riho in special matches for some reason, even though she's one of the best workers in the entire world. She's just never there. Or maybe somebody else that I'm not thinking of right now shows up. I would have been pumped if it was Willow as the surprise tag partner. It'd be a great way for Saraya to put over a newer talent on the roster. And I think it would be, speaking of which, those women killed each other on Friday. That was great. So Tyler, my question is, could a lot of this have been avoided, the disappointment been avoided, or at least, I guess, tempered by simply putting Adam Cole returning immediately after that match?
Yeah, no doubt. I think part of why we view this past week's Dynamite so favorably, of course, the excellent in-ring work, number one, but also we did get a major return. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they would have positioned his return after that match, like you said, I think that would have been a very cerebral call. I think that would have helped somewhat. I mean, I think boos would have come immediately once the lights go dark, unfortunately. But if you hear, it's all about the boom right after that, pretty quick emotional shift. I would be good with that.
Yeah, I think that's the only way really to fix it, right? Like, is just to have that spot on there.
Put yourself into a corner.
They really screwed this up.
The SRS story in the future is going to be one that's a definite must read.
Now, I don't know. I really truly don't know. My question originally, when I was like, well, I have to change my question again. Peek behind the curtain here. Both of my questions ended up being on the run sheet as segments, so I had to audible here. I really wanted to know about the cause of these things. Is it just social media? Because like the Vince sale was journalism gone wrong, even though it's like these guys often say they're not journalists, like you said. So we assume journalism where journalism may not exist, but we also expect journalistic integrity from people with check marks that work for companies. Like, if you work for a Bleacher Report or a whatever, I shouldn't have to only wait for Ariel Helwani to tweet to get the actual story, or for some CBS insider business trader to get the real story, when people that we respect in the wrestling business reporting scene comes out and said there's a sale. So why did this Mercedes Mone thing get hyped so much like this? Is it just because social media speculation took off, or is it something else?
Well, social media speculation, the presentation of this match paired with social media speculation. We just want her back. She has a huge fan base. The Sasha crew is relentless in their passion for her. To me, it was a combo. But yeah, social media, once something becomes a narrative on Twitter, we run with it, and we want to manifest it. We want to speak it into existence.
Right.
And this is a case where it was a true what had happened was. And then, we'll forget about it in a week or two. But it was just, man, I was worked. I was absolutely shocked. But the show was amazing. I had a blast with it.
And well, it's time for my final question.
Yeah, man, let's go. I'm ready.
Man, this is going to be a bit of a biography narrative.
Okay. Exposition Jones.
I can't even get through words right now, Tyler. I need either more coffee or less coffee, and I can't tell which right now. I need sleep. AEW is making its way out west. I love this. Okay, so they've been out west the last couple of weeks. They're hitting new markets, including Phoenix next month. Cannot wait. This week, the Golden Globes made their way on the screens because of the LA show. And we've had various local things happen. So what do you, and would you like to see from New Market, Dynamite, and Rampage episodes?
Wow. Well, fresh matchups would be at the top of my list. I already am enjoying the new set for the show. I think that was much needed. I have a lot of nostalgia for year one AEW and the presentation of it. but even the guardrails, obviously the screens and the transitioning to red and blue as your main colorway instead of just the black,
Yeah.
gold, white. That's been wonderful. Fresh matchups, first and foremost. And I'm probably going to sound like a broken record, but if we go to Phoenix and if I hear you don't have the balls or your mother's a whore, I'm not going to have a good experience, Brad. I'm tired of it. I think that needs to be something that is ushered in on these West Coast shows. I don't want to hear Ricky Starks mocking Jake Hager's lisp. I don't want to hear Action Andretti talking about Ty Conti. I know this is kind of a funny answer to the question.
No, MJF yelling "Konnichiwa, bud."
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
not
really
great.
really starting to irk me. I know it's not unique to AEW, but this week it was just so flagrant to me. I'm like, why are we still talking about Ty Conti this way? Why? I know MJF needs to get heat back because we are not cheering him anymore. But for me, it's fresh matchups. Love the presentation they're going with now. And can we just get to these adult storylines without having to resort to sexism, borderline racism? It's just like, this is why people mock us for being wrestling fans, is because they see a clip like this and they're like, why in the hell are you watching this, man? Like, can you turn on Grey's Anatomy or something else that's a little more fitting for your age?
Monday
I have no
Night
defense.
Football. Yeah, Monday Night Football. You can't turn it on and be like, "Hey, I'm going to win the game because your mom's a whore." Like, that's not what. What just happened?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's my answer to you. I'll try not to expand on that much further, but that's kind of my wish list for these expanded shows across the country, and specifically for us, February 22nd, Phoenix, Arizona Footprint Center. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I liked what they did with Portland and Seattle specifically, where they had some of the hometown people get their shine. Aubrey Edwards had a huge pop, and I know in WWE that would never happen because they don't like their refs on SmackDown or Raw really even being noticed. At the live events, it's totally different. Live events, the refs get to play around. Like, we got to see Sami get stunned recently at a live event by the ref, which was awesome.
Jessica Carr, right?
Yes, yeah, seems
great sell.
She seems great. So I love seeing some of that stuff, and we know like a lot of the refs were or are workers that are now refs. Like, maybe they weren't going to make it in ring, so they became a ref. Which is the only reason I know that is because the crazy story that I think WWE suggested that Thunder Rosa be a ref and not Thunder Rosa, which is nuts to me. Anyway, neither here nor there. I would like to see more like localized stuff happen. The only thing that I get afraid of that is that it doesn't transfer. The Golden Globe winner, something Hauser, right? I can't remember. Is it Dave? I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah, no. I'm still thinking about Tyler James Williams' speech, which I enjoyed. And shout out to Quincy Brunson. I don't know this dude's name, but his last name sounds very familiar.
Well, he played a murderer, and that's all I can see when I see his face. So he's up there like, it's so great to be here. I'm like, it's sort of like Anthony Hopkins can play any role ever. If I see him drinking Chianti, I'm gonna freak out.
Yeah, it's that Dexter Loomis effect.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would like to see, I don't know, some more local stuff being involved, not necessarily just the hip hop artists that are local, which I would love to see. You're giving shine to local artists. You're putting something that's been more prominent on AEW television lately. I love this because it's different. And I don't know, a few other things, maybe get some more sports stuff involved. I was watching something. I don't remember if it was, I think it was probably just Raw from the either late 97 season or early 98 season, where the Phoenix mascot gorilla was throughout the entire show.
Throwback.
Yeah. Throughout the entire show, was sat in on commentary and put on a headset, just, didn't say anything and kept taking JR's hat. And I don't remember if he ended up getting suplexed or stunned or what happened, but somebody put him down. Kane might have chokeslammed him, actually. I can't remember.
What a rough way to go out.
Yeah. So it was was different, but I wouldn't mind seeing stuff like that. I like having the local things, especially if it's going to transition into like Rampage. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Our ticket is for Dynamite, right? It's not for Dynamite and Rampage.
I believe it's for everything.
It is for everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
it covers us for Dark, for Dynamite, for Rampage.
Well, when I looked, it's 5 p.m. on the ticket. So,
Right.
and it said AEW Dynamite on it. So,
Right. I think it covers us for everything.
unless Rampage is live that week, if it's live that week, then we're not. So I have no idea what's happening. All I know is that my ticket says 5 p.m. and then I'm leaving early and I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm meeting you there. Yeah,
If you've been to an AEW live event and you're watching, please let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited for it, and it's so soon. That being said, Brad, I know you're looking forward to February 22nd for all the reasons stated. What are you looking forward to this week?
It's a great question. I think after this, I'm going to go to the mall and buy some jeans. I know it seems pretty mundane, but bro, I'm running low. I keep thinking like, oh yeah, I just got these, and I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure these are like 4 years old, and like one of the pairs of jeans I have, a pocket is completely ripped off the side of it. So I put my phone in it the other day and felt it slide down my leg to my shoe and out. And it was like, all right,
The pocket's just
it's just I don't know what happened, but
oh,
it's my left pocket completely shredded out on the inside, only on one side, but it's the side I put everything in on. So it's kind of the front of the pant. So if you put your phone in there, it just slides through a hole and down your leg. Not ideal, and it's
I hate to see
unfixable.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfixable and whatever. And then another pair just kind of shredded through the knee. And then another pair that I use is actually work pants that are thicker canvas pants, also shredded to the knee, also both on the left knee. So I have to get some new stuff. I bought another pair of jeans. I'm not super happy about them, but they're jeans and they fit. But I think I'm gonna go get some more, maybe some new other things too. But we'll see. Really need some new pants, man. I'm looking forward to going to do that because I haven't been to a mall in 4 years to
Oh
shop
wow.
since before the pandemic.
Wow.
I can't remember. Like to 2019, tons of shopping. Still got the 2019 clothes in that closet, and not all of them are fitting very well anymore. I'm a little loose in the cage, as they say. So
now you said mall. Does that mean outlet mall,
premium outlets,
Miranda, or
Tucson
Okay,
premium outlets.
good
Yeah,
choice. Drop
yeah.
by Levi's.
I'll probably hit Levi's. I'm sure I'm going to go to Express. I'm probably going to go to Banana Republic.
Nice.
Old Navy's over there, and you can get like 3 pairs of pants for like $20. So
Yeah,
just
and
clearance rack.
no school tomorrow, so
No, that's why I
you're
was
not
like,
worried about bell work
nope,
or content goals. You're chilling.
nope. No, I'll probably do a little planning because I'm actually
Sure.
excited about this semester. But
Good.
yeah. Anyway, that's what I'm looking forward to. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, man, we got Darby Kushida on Wednesday. I am so
Yes,
intrigued to see
I already forgot.
I know there's so much.
Dynamite's loaded already. It's crazy.
There's so much. I'm excited to see how their styles will be interwoven in that bout. And from an entertainment perspective, we were speaking about this off air. There's some good streaming movies right now, particularly in the horror genre. You and I have done some light brainstorming about maybe bringing that back, like GI Goes to the Movies, working concept. Don't trademark quite yet. But on HBO, we have the film The Menu.
Yeah.
I believe it's set at a restaurant, and they're trying to kill someone and put them on the menu. I don't know. I have vague memories of this trailer, but friend of the show, George Romero, said it was really good, and I need to watch it. Also on Peacock, they just released what's called being dubbed the first pandemic era horror movie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's called Sick. And it's set in the pandemic era, and these two people are at a cabin, and apparently there's a killer on the loose. So as a fellow fan of the genre, Brad, I definitely want to check out. I will check out one or hopefully both of those this week, and I'll definitely report back on my thoughts. So yeah, man, a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of entertainment, and hopefully things at school are amazing too.
Yeah, I think they're going to be great, and I can't wait for them. But I'm with you, man. I'm excited to watch some things. Tyler, we went through a lot today, and we didn't cover everything. We didn't talk about Gunther pinning Strowman clean
Big
in the
deal.
middle of
As
the
a
ring.
whistling sheet.
And telling Imperium, I don't need you. I'll take care of this. Go to the back. Unbelievable. We had some
Big.
really great WWE stuff this week that we didn't really even touch because there was just so much other stuff happening.
I know you wanted to go along on the Judgment Day and their big week and Dominic Mysterio being let out of his incarceration.
Yeah, I didn't hate the storyline this week. I liked the replacement stuff, and I thought it made a lot of sense. So and I thought Dominic looked pretty good considering. I don't really like the stable at all. I like the entrance. The stable is annoying to me. Not it's go away heat for me, but it's the individual talents within it I love. So it's almost all of them are really great. So it's really difficult for me to wrap my head around that when it's like I don't really care, but also I kind of care because they don't have tag teams that are built right now. We have the ones that have been built, that have been champs, but we don't have a lot of like they are the ones to dethrone the Usos right now, the way that the Usos have been built.
Right. And we really we need that men's main title back on the show. We love Roman Reigns. We acknowledge him. But when we went from Brock Lesnar to Roman, I think the show has just suffered with not having that main prize for the talent to compete for, right?
Yeah.
Every single week. So whether it be Cody or KO or someone else, I think my enjoyment and my commitment, frankly, to watching Raw more frequently will really improve when you have a main men's title to fight for. Because right now, I think they're putting together just a lot of, dare I say, filler to get to 3 hours every week.
Yeah, and the thing that gets me with that is that you can have the champ on there not wrestling all the time. They do it with MJF and AEW, and they did it with Stone Cold through the entire Attitude Era when he was banged up. He would come out, cut a promo, hit a stunner on like Pat Patterson, and then leave. Like he'd spray beer at people. Yeah. He would crush stuff with moving equipment. Yeah. He had DX hanging from snare traps at one point. Like there's all these things that you could do with him that have nothing to do with actually getting physical in the ring for a match, where you could still have that presence on TV. Oh, they've been doing it with Roman on the show, so why not just have him there every week? I know they're trying to bridge that with having the Bloodline on there, but I don't know. I can't even think of a comp right now. It's getting 2.0 from the Jericho Appreciation Society when you're expecting Jericho to walk through the door and you're a huge Jericho fan. If you're a big Roman Reigns guy and you're waiting for that Roman Reigns presence and Jimmy and Jay come out or Solo comes out, it's not the same thing, even if they're great. It's just not the same.
Sure. Yeah. To no fault of them. It's just that's not Roman. They're amazing and have been doing excellent work, but having the guy in any sort of segment weekly makes a huge difference. The man has earned his current schedule. Absolutely.
Totally.
But I think Raw will become way more must watch when we can get that element of the top dog being back.
Yeah, I totally agree, man.
Yeah. Well, what a blast this was. Absolute marathon, as you said, Brad. I had fun. I hope you did too. We hope you all did. Thank you for your support of what we do every single week. If you haven't already, I encourage you to follow Brad on Twitter @WinDuster. You can also follow me @Tyler J. McDowell. And I want to end our episode with a quote, Brad, that I think is pretty fitting here. This man once said, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward." We hope you all have a great MLK Day. And as always, we'll see you soon. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Good Pods, our premier partners, and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.